Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Leave it on. Test 1, 2. 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 Getting a little white noise back here. Test 1, 2. Test. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2.
Call to order. A statement of adequate notice by Board President. Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-10, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, the Board Office, the schools, and on Cablevision 118 and Verizon Files Channel 24, and by filing such notice with the Township Clerk. This meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, December 13th, 2022. The Board will take formal action on payment of bills and other agenda items. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Weber. The Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of this state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that that act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Roll call.
Ms. Burns, Ms. Callie,
Present.
Ms. Francisco,
Here.
Mr. Giordano, Ms. Lent,
Here.
Mr. Marqueta,
Here.
Mr. Slade,
Here.
Mr. Silikowski,
Mr. Sulikowski called me. He is not feeling well. He won't be here tonight.
and Mr. Weber.
Here.
Quorum exists.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're done.
Not at this time, but I just want to note, in case anybody's noticed, the under a moment of silence, we of course have the passing of Mr. Larry Redmond, who was a former board member, and his wife worked in the district, and also added to there will be obviously our loss of our paraprofessional and friend, Lucy Kurtz. I do have something under Superintendent's report, just Mr. Maurer is going to provide us with some financial updates.
Thank you, Mr. Cittadino. Two notifications were received from the Department of Education and the New Jersey, the NJSDA, which is the organization that controls all the facilities projects for school districts. They announced in November that there would be $350 million, a $350 million grant program for regular operating school districts to apply for that money, for a slice of that money, to do specific facilities projects that have tentatively been planned for. Now, there's about 550 school districts in the state, and every district that applies for this, the state will make a determination on the basis of the needs of the district whether to award these programs, these funds for these projects. The state will reimburse you up to 40% of the cost of these projects. Under supplies and equipment, there are 4 projects noted there that we will be applying for. One is to upgrade our HVAC systems in Salk School, the GNC, and also in McDivitt. We also have two planned projects for the replacements of windows in McDivitt and also in Grissom School. And then as a part of this list of things that may be done, if your playgrounds are outdated, we will be applying for grant funding to replace all playgrounds in 11 school districts. Now, there's no guarantee that we'll get the money. It's distributed on the basis of what the needs are for individual schools, and the state will make a determination how they will distribute the money. There is also one other project that I missed. We also have a storm drainage problem at this facility here that needs to be addressed, and we will also be applying for grant funding for that. Secondly, the same day that notification came out, the School Development Authority, the New Jersey School Development Authority, and the DOE announced also $75 million grant program for emergent and capital needs projects for school districts, and they are awarding us $196,000 to cover the cost of some of those programs. We will be applying the cost of the preparation for the storm drainage project at the high school that has to be done over the next year or two. Also, under supplies and equipment, there is a proposal there from the architect to start preparing the plans for that project. This particular grant, this particular $75 million or the $196,000 that we will be getting, this is definite that we will be getting this money, but the $350 million regular operating district grants, that's to be determined, but we do have to apply for them. There is no date at this point, but what is critical is that we get the applications in, because the funding is distributed on the basis of need and first come, first serve.
No. Any committee reports? All right, hearing of the residents on agenda items only. Seeing no hands, we'll close that, and we'll move on to policy. This is first posting.
This will be second reading for next week, but there's
Okay.
no action tonight.
Nothing here for curriculum, professional development. Finance, any board members have any questions or comments on finance items 1 through 9? All right, and there is action on item number 1. Is there a motion to move item number 1?
Lent will move it.
I think you have the most current agenda.
Slade second.
No, I got a second right here. Take it out, thank you. All right, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Ms. Callie?
Yes.
Ms. Francisco?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
All right, any discussion on items 2 through 8? 2 through 9. Hearing none, we'll move on. Any discussion on non-certificated personnel, item 1? 1 and 2. Yeah. Okay. Hearing no discussion, we'll move on to non-certificated personnel, items 1 through 6. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on. To non-certificated personnel, items 1 through 8. Any discussion or questions from board members? Hearing none. We'll move on to certificated personnel. And we do have action on item number 1, which is move the board rescind the employment of the following personnel as long-term substitute. Is there a motion to move it?
Lent will move it.
Weber will second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Ms. Callie,
Yes.
Ms. Francisco,
Yes.
Ms. Lent,
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta,
Yes.
Mr. Slade,
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passed.
Certificated personnel, items 2 through 21. Any discussion? Hearing none. Move on to non-certificated personnel transportation. Any discussion? Moving on, transportation, items 1 through 3. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll move on. Supplies, equipment, and services, items 1 through 5. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll move on. Miscellaneous, items 1 through 3. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, we'll move on. This is 1 through 4, actually. 1 through 6. Okay. Hearing of residents on any school district item. Hearing none. Is there any old business? Is there any new business?
I have one thing, as was suggested by Ms. Lent. We'd like to bring back the one-year tradition, so I guess this will be the second year, of adding a little festiveness to next week's meeting prior to the holiday break. We're declaring an ugly, Board of Education ugly sweater slash shirt slash tie for next, well, if you only have an ugly tie, for next week's meeting. Is that okay with everybody?
Good by me?
Can I make a recommendation?
Yeah.
Can we do like a $5, $10 entry fee, and the proceeds goes to the charity or of the winner or loser? Or what's that, this winner?
Yeah.
I like
So-
that.
So it goes to like Old Bridge Food Bank or to
Yeah,
Make-A-Wish
that's-
Foundation or something like that.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, who judges, though? Because when we did it the last time, the president judged it.
I'm not going to call anybody ugly.
I didn't call that particular person ugly. She just had the most outrageous sweater.
It was me. It was me. Mr. Merrick could judge it.
I suggest you pull a board name out of the hat and let that person judge it. So that goes under old business, correct, Joe?
No, that was new business.
What, you said it's following from last year. All right, no reason, no
Okay,
reason to fight over.
semantics? Sure, let's put it under old business.
Okay. Old ugly business, all right.
Who's going to notify the people that aren't here?
We'll have Joanne send out a
Okay.
reminder.
Great, thank you.
All right. Is there any new business?
I have one.
Okay.
I attended the high school PTSA meeting last night, and I just wanted to put out a little plug. Friday night is the annual chorus concert. But this year, it's actually a benefit concert. And Mr. Cittadino, correct me if I'm wrong, the proceeds are going to the Updegraff family?
Yes.
Okay. And they prepare for this concert well in advance, so quite a few of the song selections were actually chosen by Mr. Updegraff at his request that the students sing while he was ill and before he passed away. So it's going to, I guess it's going to be an emotional night. It's usually a beautiful night because the chorus does a beautiful job. And I don't know if they still have this tradition, but they used to ask any alumni in the audience to hop up on stage. But I don't know if they're going to do that this year, but I just thought I'd give that a plug. And I was asked a question at the meeting last night on the progress progress of the esports program.
I'll have Dr. Hoker provide you any updated information on that.
The Sandberg Learning Lab is the first one that's going to come into play. We did send out our first interest survey this past week. We had over 100 students from Sandberg sign up expressing interest. We have our first meeting tomorrow where all of those students will come together, learn a little bit more about what the opportunities are. And then tryouts are scheduled, I believe it's Monday and Tuesday the following week. And dependent upon how many of those 100 students want to actually participate in the competitive component, will determine if we have to add additional days for tryouts, versus there were many students who expressed interest in the other components of the esports, podcasting, streaming, announcing, all of those components. So we'll be going through that within the next week and a half. And then the construction in the Sandberg Learning Lab will start over the winter break.
Thank you.
Just a question, how many of the advanced equipment is in the Sandberg Learning Lab for esports?
How much of the advanced equipment is here now?
No, is going to be, ultimately, when the Sandberg Learning Lab is complete, how many of the advanced computers will be in that lab?
I believe there's 12 of the computers are set up in the station there, and then there are additional laptops that are available for the coaches.
Okay.
In addition to that, there's Promethean boards and screens, but the computer stations, I believe there's 12 there.
All right, thank you. Any other new business?
I have a question.
Yes.
Just regarding this topic. So when you say there's a tryout, what exactly are the kids trying out for? I'm just curious how this all works and how many kids are accepted or chosen, and what happens to the kids that are in. Is it just kind of over? Okay.
So we're learning as we go a little bit, but any of the students that want to try out for the competitive team starts on January 9th. So we have, I believe it's 12 stations set up from the technology we currently have for the tryouts. So we're going to cycle students through. They have, I believe it's 5 to 7 minutes, and 3 students compete against 3 students, and we'll be cycling them throughout the tryouts. The coaches want them to have 2 times to try out instead of just 1. And this is where not all of the students who completed the survey expressed interest in the competitive gaming, but they expressed interest in other areas. And there's an opportunity for them to be part of the competitive component without being on the competitive team, so that they can do, I believe it's Mondays, they can compete virtually with other students, but in a less formal manner. So there's really an opportunity for pretty much everybody to participate in some form or another. Did I answer your question?
And a more specific question, how many members will be on the Sandberg team ultimately?
I believe the first round, it's 6 students.
And any alternates?
I'd have to get out, I'll get that information, I can get it to you for next week. I believe it's 6, there's 3 that compete at a time, so then there's the 3 additional students.
And is it safe to assume that soccer will be a similar setup?
Yes.
Okay. And the high school is going to be larger? The high school will have more competitors, or the same 6 on the team?
I'm not sure I can get that information for you.
Okay. Thank you.
I believe there's possibility for the team to grow, but we can find out there's the winter team and then the spring team. if that varies according to size.
Okay, thank you. Any other new business?
I don't know if this falls under new business, but over the weekend, the Grissom School was able to go to Cheesequake Village with the band and the choir, and they were able to perform for the citizens of Cheesequake Village. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the music teacher and Miss Liddy, the choir teacher. 25 minutes is all they get. And to learn an instrument, to learn how to read music, they get 25 minutes. And what these students put on for 25 minutes every once a week or whatever they get, you would think that they practice more than 25 minutes. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the teacher for doing that, the music teacher. Very impressive what he's able to do in only 25 minutes. The second thing I wanted to say was that tonight, Salk Middle School won their wrestling match. So the team that is comprised of about 40 students with one head coach was able to defeat another school. I believe it was South Plainfield. So what the coaches do with all these championships and all these divisions that we're winning and all these championships that they're winning and the matches that Salk is doing, what these people are doing, what these educators are doing with the one coach that they're able to have, I only could imagine what they could do with more coaches. So I look forward to trying to get more assistant coaches here so we could develop these students and develop the athletes further and create a powerhouse here in Old Bridge. So I just want to congratulate the students at Grissom. Thank you to Clarissa Morable for setting it up, reaching out to the Cheesequake Village residents. Thank you to Dr. Arico, the PTA, and just congratulations to Salk and Mr. Poitras. Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none. Chris?
I just wanted to add one thing. I just, in the comment on why I'm wearing this lovely shirt. Again, thank you to the OBEA, the Silvestri family, the Bresnik family. They had their opportunity to write letters on behalf of Christmas for the Make-A-Wish, the Believe program that takes place in Macy's. Every year, they take this opportunity and raise lots of funds for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. It is a program that Mr. Silvestri, AJ, was able to benefit from, and since then, I think he was I know he was in elementary school, maybe as young as 3rd grade when he took part in that program, and now getting ready to graduate high school, he's still continued with that and hasn't missed an opportunity this year. And when the Bresnik family suffered the loss of their daughter, Jillian stepped in and joined them, and it's made it even better program through our community that represents all that's good in our school district. And the OBA did a great job having Santa Claus there, Mrs. Claus, even the Grinch was there himself. And I think they raised over $7,000 in funds for that, just the number of letters that were written that day. This Friday at between 5:15 and 5:30, the students will arrive from the South Old Bridge fire trucks at Macy's on Route 18 East Brunswick to donate all the letters that have been written across our region to this wonderful cause.
Thank you. Anything else from anyone? Hearing none. Chris, you want to?
Yes, we do have to go into executive session for matters of personnel, negotiations, and confidential student information. That's 1, 2, and 10, Joe.
And we will not be taking...
We will not be taking any action when we get back other than adjourning the meeting.
Right. All right, so
Need a motion?
I'll move it. I move it to go into
I'll
closed session.
second.
Any discussion?
All in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
Opposed?